Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Hey now, welcome to the Batman on Film Social Hour. I am the host of this here episode, and I am the founder of Batman on Film, Bill, Jett, Ramey, and with me is my my friend from New Jersey who had a bunch of damn snow this last week, huh?
Yeah, just busy, still busy shoveling out. After
right.
this, I'm gonna go shovel out some space for the mailman because God knows he can't reach to the mailbox from his car.
Yes, and this is senior BOF contributor, Peter Verra. So how are you doing, Peter?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right. So just a few plugs real quick. If you like what we do here on Batman on Film, everything, the podcasts, the social hours, the stories, the articles, the op-eds, whatever, everything, whole 9 yards. If you want to contribute, help us chip in to keep this thing running, you go to patreon.com/Batman on Film. And of course, Batman on Film, all of our shows are part of the Batman Podcast Network. You can find all of the shows at batmanpodcastnetwork.com. We've added 2 recently here. And if you want to follow the Batman Podcast Network on Twitter, it's at BatPodNetwork. So there you have that. So we'll do some other plugs at the end. All right, so let's talk about this, Peter. And I may surprise some folks out there listening. May surprise some people. I think there's some misconception about where I'm coming from on this topic. We're going to talk a little bit of ZACK SNYDER'S Justice League, and specifically the news that it will be R-rated. And my first reaction is, well, of course it is. Well, of course it is. Who thought otherwise? Literally, who thought otherwise? What was your reaction? Just like, yeah?
Well, I mean, the Ultimate Edition, which is the preferred edition of BVS, is R-rated, so I wasn't surprised either. To me, it just my whole thing was it just seems like for some of these characters, it seems out of character. The Flash, Superman, seeing them in an R-rated movie is just kind of shocking to me. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily Batman. I could see Batman in an R-rated movie. Depending on the depiction of Wonder Woman, I could see it. But this version of Wonder Woman, I feel like leans more towards 77, so it's kind of shocking to me a little bit. I don't have the stance where like, oh man, I can't take my kids to see this. It just, that's not where I'm coming from because I'm not a father. I don't have kids. I don't have to worry about that. I'm just a little just kind of surprised because it's like, oh, that's interesting. And I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I just think Batman's going to be gunning down parademons and we'll probably see a little blood, but I'm not really totally surprised. Just kind of like finally getting confirmation. You're just kind of like, oh, okay. But it is Snyder, and I feel like he never, you can't say he makes kids movies to begin with. So
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, look, I wasn't surprised in the least. And I think I wrote, when I wrote the article, my subtitle was, but of course it is. And I didn't mean that in a snide way. And a lot of people took it that way, I think. But it was like, yeah, this is what I expected. This is his vision. And I will say this, as someone who prefers filmmaker-driven comic book films, or just filmmaker. I'm pro director, pro filmmaker. Okay, but in this genre, I prefer what Nolan did and what Joker. Todd Phillips. Joker. Even Wonder Woman both Wonder Woman films, especially the last one, especially this Wonder Woman 84, Patty Jenkins, James Wan, Tim Burton for for Pete's sake, no pun intended, Pete, with Batman Returns, which is a film I'm not particularly fond of. And I am not fond of Batman versus Superman, Batman v Superman. I'm not. It's not my cup of tea when it comes to those characters, and I'm not a fan of Mr. Snyder's take on them. Mm-hmm. But I will defend and argue that he should be able to put his vision out. Now, how this came to be, how it ultimately came to be, is a whole different other topic. Right. Okay, I got a different take on that completely. It's not so supportive of it. So I am not one of these where I really saw people on the internet shocked that it was R-rated, and like you brought up, there was a lot of the question of, well, my kids can't watch this, and I was like, well, they can watch the one they put in theater. That's the irony of it is, Peter, in my opinion, is that these people were shocked that they can't let their kids watch it. Mm-hmm. But the reason why we got the theatrical cut that we did is because Warner Brothers thought Mr. Snyder's vision was too dark, too macabre, and they wanted something a little lighter. And, so you've got that. It's not like these films are going to be too drastically different at least from a plot standpoint. There's only so much you can do, No,
I think the two movies will be very similar. But I mean, BVS is a dark and depressing movie, and I'm someone who enjoys that movie.
Yeah.
But I imagine this is going to be very similar to BVS, and it'll be that dreary and, similar to the warehouse scene. There'll be blood and everything. And I'm sure if, we all know Steppenwolf's going to get beheaded. So I imagine that scene is pretty graphic in itself. I will say this though, I think that one of the reasons we have the Justice League cut of Justice League is, and this is Chris Clow, a BOF alumni. That cut of the movie puts each character in the proper place going forward. By the end of that film, a creative person can come in and take each character and go the right way. I think that this movie, I think this movie is a cul-de-sac. I think this movie will end and it'll be this ending that you can't really pick up from. And, it'll be like this dystopian, just miserable future, and I don't know where, it's kind of a blessing in disguise that this is this HBO Max thing. Cause if this thing came out in 2017, which I think they probably should have done, but if this was the movie that came out, where do you go from here? Seems it's a little strange to me. So I'm so interested in seeing this thing.
I know you are. I mean, honestly,
it's so weird. Everything about it is so weird.
As someone who does not like BVS, okay, but don't call me a Zack Snyder hater, because I defend the hell out of Man of Steel. I borderline love it. So, and in fact, I like most of Mr. Snyder's films. That's just didn't jive with me, and so I don't want to see more of that. I didn't like the incarnation of Batman. I didn't like how Superman was portrayed,
not alone,
and was barely in it, relatively speaking.
You're the majority.
Yeah. With yeah. Okay.
You're not crazy, because that
well, yes, yeah.
Why we are where we are. That's the truth. That's the God's honest truth. People like me who like BVS are the minority. That's why Justice League got
but you can
2 parts, and that's why it got reworked in 3 months. Because what I enjoyed wasn't good.
Yeah. So, but you admit that you like it, but you can see you're rational about.
I'm not in a cult.
That film, and you're rational and realistic about what happened afterwards.
Yeah.
And we can go back and forth. Look, Warner Brothers was, as soon as they started testing BVS, they were getting that negative feedback. Mm-hmm. So they knew. I've told this story before. When I went to the press junket in Los Angeles to see it, they were extremely worried about the reaction. I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I could not bring my wife with me, and I always
that was the
had
first time, right?
Yeah, I'd
Rachel's
always
made all of them.
yeah I'd always brought my wife to these press screenings, and it was they knew then, and to me the mistake was, and this is all hindsight, right? We're in a whole different place. We got the Batman coming, and we've got, I mean, DC on film is going in a completely different direction, and it's been, we're talking 5 years, five, half a day now, and they should have pulled, in my opinion, humbly, they should have pulled a Superman Lives, which was the Superman movie. It was going to be directed by Tim Burton and with Nick Cage, and just shut it down and regrouped at that point.
I mean, there's no doubt that Warner Brothers fumbled the ball here. I mean,
Yeah.
you have two options: you release the damn thing, or you fire the man after BVS. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who makes those decisions. I don't know if it's Sujihara. I don't know if it was Emmerich, but they did the wrong decision. They should have done one of the two, and then we could have just moved on, because then there's nothing to complain
Yeah,
about.
when I'm at the junket in March of 2016 for BVS, they were just about to start filming Justice League.
Yeah, it started like a week after.
Yeah,
premiere.
and of course, BVS came out. It got the reviews it got. It got the it disappointed the box. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it made a lot of money. But this was Warner Brothers was expecting a hell of a lot more money at the box office from that. It was disappointed in that regard, and they started scrambling, and they immediately started to try to change the narrative of what Justice League will be. It's going to be more of a quote unquote fun film, a little bit lighter. You saw all about those stories.
Yeah, I remember like that,
pieces and stuff.
Yeah, that video they showed where everyone's smiling and Zach
Yeah.
is sliding around.
And then they hosted a bunch of media at the set in the UK. The show, look how this is going to be fun, and it's going to be cool, and
don't they usually like embargo those set visits?
Yeah.
until before the movie comes out? Like
Yes.
they
came out
put
immediately.
that. Yeah. So like, what is the difference between what Warner Brothers did and just like a company like Fox, who had like after X3, like that movie's not critically well received, no one really enjoyed it, but they still like went through their series of films, and eventually you get Deadpool, you get Logan, you get Days of Future Past, you get First Class, and those are like bona fide classic CBM movies. Like they're hits. Even like what would the MCU be like if they stopped after Iron Man 2, which seems no one really enjoyed? They kind of plowed through, and they went through their struggles, and they found their footing, and then eventually they got to their Avengers run. Like how come like Warner Brothers is just, all right, we should just not do this anymore. Let's just Frankenstein this movie. Like, why didn't they kind of like follow the examples of the other studios where, yeah, they made some questionable movies, but eventually down the road, even like two movies or the next movies, like those movies are hits. So it's like, why is Warner Brothers always so reactionary when it comes to these comic books?
Well, they did it the wrong way from the beginning. They started at the end and tried to go backwards.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you do Man of Steel, which was a great setup for Superman, and then you go straight. You bring an old ass Batman in for the sequel in name only, BVS,
Right.
and then you go right to the Ultimate Justice League, and you're the two pinnacles, Justice League, and then before that BVS, no one liked. So you were backed into a position of, okay, this vision is not working, this tone is not working. Wonder Woman was a success mainly because I think Gal. I love the movie, and Gal is great as Wonder Woman. So I say that's an exception to that, and it really was a Patty Jenkins film. I mean, there was a little bit of the tone toward the the third act. You could feel the Snyder-esque that universe from the aesthetic, and then later on, Aquaman makes $1 billion, and that's straight up James Wan. That's a straight up James Wan movie.
Yeah.
Because those filmmakers wanted to make the film they wanted to make without the restraints, and I think they, in the meantime, they completely ruined what they could have done with Superman, and specifically Henry Cavill's Superman. Ben Affleck checked out. You already had an old ass Batman, and it was not he's not beloved like Adam West, Christian Bale, Michael Keaton. I mean, as popular as he is among some fans. So I go back. If you had maybe they could have salvaged it by not making Justice League and saying, okay, we're going to stop here. We're not going to make Justice League. We're going to take the hit, because look how much damn money have they lost on this anyway. You know what I mean?
They've remade this movie like 3 times.
I know we can say technically Warner Brothers Pictures is not financing the Snyder Cut. It's HBO Max, but it's the same company and the same, corporate umbrella. But it's, semantics in some ways. They fucked up, man. You know what? I do think they learned their lesson though, Warner Brothers, because I'm going to tell you why. Because this Kong versus Godzilla movie, as crazy as it is, and this is a weird kind of comparison, but they gave all these kaijus their own solo films before they put them up against each other. Yeah.
It makes me think they've established like, okay, we have to do this solo movie before we do this kind of like team up stuff, if they ever get to it. And I just feel like, they learned their lesson with DC before they went into this monsterverse. And that's kind of like my take. Like, we got 2 Godzilla movies and 1 Kong movie, and now they're fighting each other.
It seems now, I think we've talked about it before, I think they got their way. They found their way, and that their way is just to make the best comic book DC movie they can make.
Isn't that what Nolan told them like 10 years ago?
Yes, it's when he left Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. And hey, if some of them are technically in the same world, Wonder Woman 84 and Aquaman 2 will technically exist in the same world. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. Then fine. Maybe some won't. You have Joker, who has nothing to do with anything else. Same goes for Matt Reeves' The Batman. I suspect that at some point Superman will be given the Batman treatment, and I mean they'll bring a filmmaker in and say, "What's your take? Okay, we love it. Go. Don't worry about fitting it into anything. Just make a great Superman movie." And I don't mean in terms of it being dark and all that stuff. I'm just, the genesis of coming up with that Superman movie. So, Zack Snyder's Justice League is R-rated. That's perfectly fine. I'll defend his right to make a movie. I'll defend Todd Phillips' right to make an R-rated Joker. I'm on board with Logan. I'm on board with Deadpool. That's fine. Same way. I think Shazam should have been straight up PG, but that's nitpicking. Maybe I don't want to see an R-rated Batman film, but I'd be open to it. I'm not going to dismiss it just because it's R-rated. I think PG-13 is fine. The bottom line is I don't think we have to make a film, these comic book films, and make them there accessible to all ages. Every single one of them. Yes? No? Maybe? Pete?
No, I agree with you. I'm all about giving the director the freedom to make their movie how they want to do it. If I agree with it, I agree with it. I'll judge it when I see it. But if I think something's out of character, I'll just say about it. I'm sure that'll put me some danger in Twitter, but
whatever.
Speaking my mind.
So, and also, speaking of the just the ratings, I mean, there's an argument to be made where you go, well, I want to take my kid to see this, and I understand. I have 3 kids, whether they're not kids anymore, but there are things for younger kids that are conduits into Batman, like Lego Batman movie,
Batman Forever.
Batman Forever. I mean, some of the animated stuff that they do nowadays, and there's and hasn't the genre grown to a point to where we don't have to say these are just for kids,
Well, I think comic book. I say that about comic book stuff in general. I mean, I go to the comic book shop and I don't ever see. I rarely see kids in comic book stores. Yeah, mostly because kids can't afford comic books now. They're about
Yeah.
If AT&T has their way, they're gonna be $8 anthology books. So like, what kid can afford to buy those to begin with? It's mostly grown men and it's fanboys and fangirls. So it's always been the assumption that because these things are drawn because they are animated, that they're kids stuff, and they do have deeper meanings. And I think post Dark Knight Returns, I think we are in a different era of comic book genre creativity. So
Well, it's something that Michael Uslan fought when he was trying to get Batman '89 made.
Yes.
He was told by studio after studio, that's for kids. No one's going to want to see this, you know.
it's
so
like
please, so
it's
don't,
like the
don't
genre's been typecast.
yeah. So don't pigeonhole it as like it's got to be for all ages. Well, then you defeat the purpose of wanting to be taken seriously. You know, we want to be taken serious. We're fans of this stuff. We want to be taken serious. So that comes with it. You know, I think it's part of the deal. Yeah,
It's been an uphill battle. You know?
Yeah. So, what are you going to plug real quick?
Just follow my social media handles on Instagram, Twitter, and Zack Snyder's favorite Vero at Pete Illustrated. Follow my show that I co-host with the champion of Long Island, Eric Holzman, on Instagram and Twitter, straight_O_G. Read my reviews of Man Bat, Dark Detective, Detective Comics. I do toy reviews, all for Batman on Film. Check those out. And I might have a new pop review that I have to send in shortly.
Oh, okay. Good. I enjoy those. So, you can follow me on Twitter at Batman on Film. If you want to follow just the Batman on Film news feed, it's at the Batman on Film. We got some good stuff coming up. I got 2 interviews coming. I'll keep them under wraps for right now, and they'll be on podcasts. So Pete is a regular on the podcast, so you'll be able to. Pete, do you know who it is yet?
Oh,
You know who it is.
I know both of them.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Nobody does more
Yes.
digging than I do.
Okay. Lee Bermejo is going to be the guest on the next Batman on Film podcast to talk about his book, The Art of Lee Bermejo. You have that book yet?
I do not have that book.
It's
I think
awesome.
I'll have to buy-
Yeah, I ordered it from
I'll have to-
Amazon.
I'll have to get it on Amazon. I got Prime.
And we're going to have also at some point here, probably next week, Sean O'Connell, correct? Sean O'Connell, if I didn't butcher that, sir. He is the author of the upcoming Zack Snyder cut #movement book. And he's going to discuss that with the guys here at Batman on Film. So that's all I got. Peter, anything else?
No, that's it. I'm good.
All right. So for Peter, I'm Bill. Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive.
The dadgummit Ranger.
All right. We'll catch you next time.
You have been listening to the official podcast of the one and only Batman on Film website. On Twitter, follow BOF at Batman on Film and the Batman Podcast Network at BatPod Network. For Jett and everyone at Batman on Film, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening to the authoritative, definitive, the original Batman on Film.